Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Hope you're all doing well today. It's Mother's Day, of course. I want to say happy Mother's Day to all of the beautiful mothers out there doing a fantastic job. We need you so much, especially at times like this, where, it's uncertain times. This is where your mother comes into her own. So to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. So Mother's Day, of course, in the UK today. To my late great mum, thank you very much for all that you did for me while she was alive. Truly incredible woman, and there's some truly incredible mothers out there doing a fantastic job. I thought I'd do something a little different. It's Sunday. We've been talking about this coronavirus all week. And I thought, let's just do a Q&A today. Ask me anything you want to ask me, within reason, right? Within reason. But ask me whatever you'd like to ask me. I'm still up in Manchester at the moment, actually, at my brother's. You know what? It's all this news that's coming out today, coronavirus thing about the elderly now having to stay in for 3 months. I'm up here visiting my dad at the moment. I mean, unfortunately, at the moment, he's not well enough to venture out, even if he wanted to. But, it's a big step now. Anybody over 70, for the next 3 months, you're expected to stay in self-isolation. And that's a big ask. I know that people will do it, and it's the right thing to do to prevent this disease from spreading. But wow, what times we're living in at the moment. What happens to Roy Hodgson, of course, of Crystal Palace? He's over 70. Does that mean that he can't, if the season does get back on, that he can't go to a game? I think what they're doing at the moment, it's more for people who have it's not just over 70s. Anybody who's got like a serious health issue, you've got to stay in as well. So it really is incredible what is happening at the moment. And you saw some of those images over the weekend of people going out, not, adhering to the rules of trying to keep 2 meters apart. You've got to do that. You've got to do that. We've got to stop this thing from spreading. We've got to try and stop it in its tracks, and buy time for the health services, and buy time for us to try and get a cure to this pandemic that's sweeping the world at the moment. But I wanted to get your questions. It doesn't have to be about the coronavirus. I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing about it, even though we need to hear about it because it's important. But I'm sure you want to talk about other things. There's been no football. It's driving me mad. Nothing. No football, no sport. It's not even like there's no Premier League game. You can switch and watch a game in La Liga or in Italy or France or, me normally, that's all I watch on TV is sport. And it's just been weird. Really, really weird. Wow. So let's get into some of your questions. Fire away. Let me start with this one. Abnisar Omar, he says, should this season be null and void, it will mean that Manchester City will have a Champions League ban and Arsenal get a Champions League, but Liverpool lose their well-deserved title, and Leicester and Sheffield United miss out on the Champions League. I think as far as we possibly can, we've got to try and complete the season. I think it'd be really unfair on a team like, for instance, a Sheffield United or a Leicester. I'd love Arsenal to get into the Champions League, but I think it'd be very unfair on those two. I think it'd be very unfair on Liverpool. I think it'd be very unfair on any team that thinks they might be able to beat relegation. And I just think you've got to complete the season, even if the season means that you've got to cut short next season or whatever. You've got to complete this season. So if we can complete it, for me, we've got to try and complete the season. Listen to this guy. He's asking the question, obviously a Man United fan or something, right? He says, yo, Robbie, which one did you enjoy the most? Man United 8-2, right? Or Man United 6-1 outplay. So did you enjoy any of those? Michael Davies says, Koulibaly. Would love him. Would love Koulibaly. Would be a brilliant addition to Arsenal. Unfortunately, I don't think that deal will happen, especially what's going to be happening in the current climate. KQBTS says, dub so big. I'll tell you, I can't believe, right, that I just get all these memes with dub so this, dub so that. Listen, it's flattering. It's flattering. Every picture I take is in danger of being memed nowadays. DJ Gunners 11 says, realistically, when do you think the Premier League will be back up and running? For me, realistically, I can't see. I mean, they've just brought this in today. That they said for very sick people and elderly people, 3 months before you even think about going outside, right? So we're in March, April, May, June. For me, I can't see the season starting back until at least July, and then probably that would have to be behind closed doors to start off with. And then maybe August, July, August. With my thing, I've said all along is that get it done July, August, maybe, right? Towards the end of July, August, and then have a break for September. We normally have a couple of international games in September Anyway, have a break then in September and start the new season from October. That's what I would do if we're in a position to do that. Who knows with the way things are going at the moment? There just doesn't seem to be any news of any sort of cure. I mean, social distancing and locking yourself away and slowing down the pandemic just does that, slows it down. But ultimately, in order to get things back up to normal, we've got to try and find some sort of cure to this disease, and that seems like a very long way away at the moment. I heard what Trump's been saying and stuff like that, but these drugs and that still have to be tested thoroughly before you can roll it out to masses of people. Mohammed Mahmood says everyone self-isolate. Well, listen, it's been very difficult, even like for us as a channel. I mean, we've got to keep filming content, and you know, I took the decision pretty early in this pandemic to say to all of my guys, work from home. I don't want nobody really coming into our office. Our office is in central London. 99% of the staff that come into work take the tube. And I'm like, yeah, if you're going to catch this thing, tube's not a great place, on buses and stuff like that. So everybody work from home, and we'll just come in to do filming. And that's what we've maintained. And we've kept our filming to a minimum as well. Instead of having any big teams, it's always never more than just a couple, 2, 3, 4 people max. And, I've checked that with work officials, government officials, government guidelines, and they said that that's the way to do it. And I mean, keep it, essential work, which our essential work is going in and sometimes and doing some filming, and then obviously doing a lot of filming from home and stuff like that. But it's been very difficult. It's been very difficult for all businesses out there, and it's a really, really testing time. Harsh Bates says, Don Robbie, interview Corona, please. And I'm not Corona right in his mush. I'll tell you, I'll take Corona out in a heartbeat. Busby Legend says, Robbie, honest, in-depth thoughts on Anthony Martial. And you can, it doesn't just have to be Arsenal here, it can be any football, right? Anthony Martial, my thoughts on Anthony Martial is that he's an outstanding player. He's a brilliant player. On his day, when he's on it, he's absolutely unplayable. But I think Martial is one of these guys that he doesn't do it week in, week out. If he did it week in, week out, he'd be one of the best players around. But his problem is he doesn't do it week in, week out. He'll do it for 2 weeks, then he goes missing for 2 weeks. And I think that is what is the sort of downside of Anthony Martial. That is why he's not a regular in the French national team. That is why he's not talked about as one of the best players around, where he could be if he really put his mind to it and did it every week, because he is a very, very good player. Rick Vic says, Robbie, do you watch any other sports? That's all I watch is sports. I love all sports. I love cricket. I love boxing, rugby, tennis. I love all sports, athletics. You know, I just love sports. Growing up, I played so many sports, and I'm a sports guy, and that's all I watch. You know what I mean? So I think it's probably the only sports I'm not really into. I'm not really into snooker and things like that. It's a bit too slow for me. Golf, I can't really get into. Again, it's a little bit slow for me. I mean, you know, I when it's the big, like the Masters and that, I can watch some of it. But you know, I love sports in general. Sammy says, do you think that Aubameyang will leave? I've got a feeling Aubameyang's going to stay. I really do think that Aubameyang's going to stay. As I said, my only worry with the Aubameyang thing is that the football club, Arsenal, will say to him, we want you to leave to take the money. That's my fear. I reckon he would like to stay. That's my personal opinion. But let's see how that works out. You look, Charles says, sing one sniff, two sniff. N'Golo Belgrade says, did fame change your life? No, I'm still, you speak to anybody who knows me, I'm still the same person. Obviously, a lot of people know who I am now because of AFTV, but I'm still the same person. I mean, back in the day, I did music, got a little fame out of that, not on the same level as this, but a lot of people knew who I was in those circles and those times. So I'm quite used to a lot of people knowing who you are, and I always think that you shouldn't make these things go to your head. You know, tomorrow it could be gone, you know, and there's more important things, as we can see right now, what's happening with this coronavirus thing. Do you care about any celebrity or anything right now? You just care about your welfare and your family, which is, you know, that's the most important thing. So, never changed me. David Joseph says, what do you think will happen to the transfer window and loans? Now, that is a huge, huge question. The transfer window, I've said this and I've been saying this all week. I think that the transfer window, when it comes around, you're probably going to see the lowest spend of any transfer window for years, because clubs ain't going to have the money. Simple. I think there's going to be lots of loans. I think also there's going to be a lot of teams drawing on their academies now and drawing on the young players that are coming through. They're going to have to, because the money is not going to be there to go out and splash cash on loads of expensive players. It's going to take a couple of seasons before you see that happen. Even clubs that do have that money to spend, they're going to be very cautious about doing that, with fear of a backlash from the world in general. You know, you've got NHS nurses struggling to make ends meet after the great job that they've been doing with this coronavirus, and then what, you go and splash I don't know, £100 million on a player? That's not going to go down very well. So I think we're going to see the transfer window, a completely different transfer window when it does reopen. Oibeck says, we didn't hear from Claude for some time. How's he, Robbie? And take good care. Claude is fine. Looking to do some stuff with Claude this week, so look out for that. Obviously, we've had to be juggling around some shows because of this coronavirus, but definitely looking to get Claude back in action. I know he's been doing some live streams and stuff like that, and spoke to him last week, and he was doing fine. So big up Claude out there. Sebastian says, just as I was about, I really wish you guys could see. I say this sometimes. I think probably you're thinking, yeah, he didn't read my comment. Sometimes what happens is you read in the comments and they just go and they just skip past you. So sorry for that one. Femi Davis says, Don Robbie, do you enjoy Kelechi's singing on AFTV? Of course I do. I love Kelechi, man. I don't know, man. Sometimes when we lose a game though, and he comes and he starts, I'm like, yeah, bro, I don't want to hear no songs right now, man. I'm just so peed off at the defeat. But then having said that, he always cheers me up. I love his positivity. Somebody like him right now is a good person to be around, because he'll always be looking on the positives of life. And those are good people to be around. So big up Kelechi. Miss that guy, actually. I'm missing all these guys, man. I'm missing all the fans. I really am. Guts 151 says, Robbie, do you think enough Premier League games will be played for Liverpool to win the league? Well, we've got to finish the league. If you can only win the league if it's finished. I don't think any Liverpool fan wants to be handed the league, because if that's done, you can imagine every Man United fan, every Everton fan is going to be turning around and saying, you didn't win it. You didn't really win it. It was given to you. They want to win it properly. So, yeah, I think Liverpool want to win the league, and then we've got to complete it. James Dyer with a super chat here. He says, Robbie, we met back in 2018 on Mad Guna. Mad love for AFTV. Do you think the current situation highlights the importance of fans and fan channels? I really do. You know, the fan channels keeping people connected with football right now, and keeping, you know, giving people a chance to have their say. And I think they're doing a great job. I've seen what the guys at United Stand have been doing, West Ham Fan TV, and all the various channels out there, Redmen TV, Cop TV, all these guys have been doing a great job. And, you know, they're keeping people connected right now, fans connected, fans talking and expressing how they feel. That's what we're trying to do even right now. And I think we see the importance of fans. When you see games being played in empty stadiums, you see that without fans, there is no football. And I really do hope that when we do get through this, which we will get through this, that there's a greater respect by Sky and all these TV channels, by, you know, the owners of football clubs for the fans. I do hope that these TV channels, when they just start putting on games willy-nilly on a Monday night and expect fans to just travel up, because, yeah, it's Arsenal fans, they'll be there. I hope now they have a, you know, a greater respect for those fans and, you know, think about them more when they're doing stuff like their programming. Kerr1M280 says, Aubameyang or Lacazette. I always say the same thing, both of them. I like the two of them in tandem, you know. Murdry says, who's your main player that you want to see in England for the Euros? I would have loved to have seen Saka make it into the England squad. I think I feel a bit gutted. He was, you know what, actually, the fact that the Euros are going to be happening next year might offer a better opportunity for him and a couple other Arsenal players to maybe possibly make a stake for getting into those England squads for the Euros. Let's see. Anne Sangara says, you are my idol. Me, right? Raymond Keys says, who's the biggest team in England? You know, Arsenal. Let's spin through some of these more. Sook says, in your opinion, who's the best player in the Premier League right now? Ooh. I think De Bruyne is, I mean, when he came down to the Emirates and the way he destroyed Arsenal, that guy's ability, he's such a good player. I think somebody like Virgil van Dijk as well, as a defender, he's brilliant. I just don't see any defender coming near him. And then I think somebody like an Aubameyang is a great striker. So I think you probably have to go De Bruyne. In my personal opinion right now, maybe a De Bruyne, Mane as well, and Salah. They're also really, really good players. I think Van Dijk. Van Dijk I'll have to go for, because he's, you know, he's been the main reason why Liverpool are doing what they're doing now, because he just came, before he came along, their defence was shaky. And he's just come in and he's just been absolutely outstanding. Obi-Ban Kibobi says, Robbie, would you bring Gerard back to Arsenal for a free? Well, if it is on a free, why not? Gerard will always do a job, but it would have to be always off the bench for me. Although we don't need a Giroud, really. We don't really need more strikers. I thought Giroud was really good in that sort of final season, because he was always a great option to bring off the bench. And he's so good in the air, and he's so good at holding the ball up. But I think, you know, obviously now the time has passed for Giroud. But he done good services for Arsenal. Vincenzo Galbo says, Robbie, who is better, Maradona in his prime or Messi in his prime? Now, this is a really difficult one because Maradona won, you know, he's as well as going to a team like Napoli, making them win the league. You know, Barcelona, he did it at international level as well. Messi, his figures are outstanding. But you know what? I'm going to go Maradona. I just thought that, you know, if that guy hadn't have got himself mixed up in all these other things, he could have, you know, and if he would have been playing in a Barcelona team like Messi was playing in, I think he would have done the same things. He was brilliant. So I'd slightly go Maradona, but it is a difficult one. But for the mere fact that Maradona at international level as well, I mean, he won a World Cup, you know, and he was like one of the main reasons why they won it. I think he'd have to go, because Argentina have had a great team over the years, but they've just not managed to get that ultimate prize with. So I'd have to go Maradona. A. Sangera says, what should Arsenal do with Hector Bellerin? I think you've got to give Hector Bellerin time to get completely fit. You know, I don't think this whole break and the fact that now we're going to have time, he'll be able to recover and we'll be able to see the real Hector Bellerin next season. I mean, we could sell him because we would get a good amount of money for him as well. But in light of what's going on at the moment, let's keep him and let's try and, you know, get him fully fit. And we might have an outstanding player back. Heck says, who would you want if Arteta doesn't recover? Well, Arteta has recovered. I'm not even going to answer that question because he has recovered. So it's Arteta all the way. Space Monkey says, Don Robbie, how did you meet DT? I met DT through AFTV. He came on, done an interview, and the rest is history, as you'd say. He's done regular interviews from then on, and that's how I met him. I didn't know DT until I was doing until he come on and did a interview on AFTV. We've got Ryan here with a super chat. He says, United fan here, but love your channel. Hope everyone involved in AFTV is staying safe. Thank you very much, Ryan. Listen, we're trying to stay as safe as possible. As I said, we've been taking steps to try and follow everything what the government says to do. So, yep, you know, I mean, we're all safe here at the moment, and I'm hoping that you and everybody out there is safe as well. You know, I mean, we've got to take this seriously. What's going on at the moment? Musala says Gerard, Lampard, or Scholes. I sort of was asked this one yesterday. I'm going still Gerard. The other two, Lampard and Scholes, were good. I think Scholes, he didn't do it at international level. So I'd have to go, even though Gerard, Lampard, you could argue they didn't really do it internationally either. But I think Gerard, had he not been injured so much, he was such a good player. He'd single-handedly drag Liverpool through certain games sometimes. So, you know. Rob Chicken says, top 5 most important players in the current squad. Oh, that's well, let me see if I can. Aubameyang, Leno, you know, very important. Lacazette. I'm going to go Granit Xhaka. I think he wasn't important, but I think in recent times, he's become a very, very important player in the squad. David Luiz has been important in that defense. So yeah, those probably would be the 5 I'd go with at the moment. Excuse me, you've got another super chat here. It says, thoughts on Mo Salah as a player, 70 league goals in 100 games, back-to-back golden boots, which he shared with Aubameyang last year, Champions League winner and soon-to-be Premier League player. Outstanding player, Mo Salah. He's brilliant. And I don't think he gets the ratings that he deserves, if I'm being honest. I mean, him and Mane, I don't think those guys, I think they should be on a more superstar status. Their stats are incredible. And remember when everybody was saying, oh, well, Salah won't be able to do it next season. He did it. He's come back and he did it again the next season. What a signing that's been. What did they pay for him? 30 million. You know? I think that's why I kind of got some respect for Liverpool, because the way they've done it, they ain't gone out there and spent ridiculous money. I mean, Mane was 30 million. as well. The mega money they paid was obviously for Van Dijk and Alisson, and even then they'd made that money off of selling Coutinho. So you got to give them their respect, man. You really do. And I think Salah has been an amazing player. Let's see if I can find that one. Robbie, if you can choose 5 players from the past to be in the Arsenal team, now who would they be? And I hope everyone at AFTV is okay. That's from Mini George. Well, Vieira. Vieira, definitely, in that squad. Would be very important. Tony Adams in that defence. Bergkamp, Henry. How many is that? How many have I got? Is that 4? I've got one more. Bergkamp, Henry. There's any host of any other players. Robert Perez you could put in there. I think, listen, practically everyone from that 2004-5 team will get in the squad right now. Front 3 for England in Euro 2021. Oh, Harry Kane would have to be in there. Front 3, Rashford, Sancho. That'd be my front 3 at the moment. Kerm280 says, just had bully beef. Listen, man, the bully beef thing's all right, bro. You know what I mean? Let's see if I can. There's so many comments coming in. Thank you very much. Check Perk says Kane is finished. I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. Oh gosh, this guy he's just given us so much problems over the years. Harshbraid says with a super chat said, would you trade Aubameyang for Martial? No chance. Aubameyang is a much better player for me. As I said, Martial right at the top of the show, great player, but doesn't do it week in, week out. For me, Aubameyang does do it week in, week out, and hence his brilliant goal scoring record. Josh AFC says, Don Robbie, what do you think about playing Pepe in the number 10 position and have Nelson and Martinelli on either side with Aubameyang up top? I'd like to give it a try. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I wouldn't mind giving it a try to see what it'd be like because, a lot of his goals, even though he played out wide, he played a lot of times quite centrally as well when he was playing for Lille. So, yeah, why not? Give it a try. Abuka says, Robbie, Trent Alexander-Arnold or Aaron Wan-Bissaka, it's got to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's the best right back in the Premier League for me right now. The way he crosses the ball, I know Wan-Bissaka's a brilliant at tackling, probably stronger defensively, but nah, it's got to be for me Trent Alexander-Arnold. Mercutio335 say, hey Robbie, do you think Tottenham will bounce back? No, I think this Mourinho is showing that he's a dead manager, in my opinion. I mean, it might have helped him, this whole break thing there, because it was starting to implode there. He's probably done Mourinho some favours. Cool Ankush says, Don Robbie, when do we see Mia Khalifa again? Well, I don't know. I presume she's in lockdown. Afif P says, Robbie, your thoughts on Rashford's development this season? Again, he's been outstanding. He has been outstanding. Was a big blow to United when he got injured because he's been playing really well. Joel Morris says, what are your thoughts on Bruno Fernandez? Unfortunately, he's been outstanding. He's changed Man United, hasn't he? He's come in and all of a sudden Manchester United are a different team. And I remember watching him play against us when he played for Sporting Lisbon and saying to myself, wow, he looks a top player. And I remember some of the Sporting Lisbon fans saying to me, he's their best player by a mile. And you can see it now. Morgan Ward 729 says, how much do you think Havertz will cost? Well, I think you would have been looking at a player like 70 to 80 million pounds. Whether they will get that sort of money for him now with what's gone on, who knows? But, he's an outstanding player. Clara Tyne says, would you sell Guendouzi and Nelson? Definitely not. These are young, up-and-coming players. We need to be holding on to them. Kieran asked me Celtic or Rangers. I'd never answer that question, right, for the sake of protecting myself. So I do not answer that question. I always stay far from answering that question. A Glow Snake says, Robbie, how about we change the formation and play 2 up top instead of this left wing crap at Arsenal? I think the thing is, of playing 2 up top at Arsenal is our midfield at the moment is not strong enough to protect the back 4 when we've only got 2 in there. So I think that's, till we solve that, it's difficult to play 2 up top at Arsenal. Yosef A says, who's better, Mount, Grealish or Maddison? And Mount has more goals than assists, but I would definitely, out of all 3 of them, have Grealish. I think he's an outstanding season, playing in a very poor team, let's have it right. And I think Grealish will be a very highly, you know, especially if the season's completed and Villa were to go down, which I think they will. I think Grealish is going to be a player that a lot of teams are going to be after. Sanduka says, Coutinho to Arsenal, your thoughts? I wouldn't mind that. I think I've said all along, Coutinho, somebody who shoots from the edge of the box and create, would be a great addition to Arsenal. We really do lack goals from midfield, and I think he'd chip in with 10 goals or so per season in a very, you know, in that Arsenal midfield. So yes, I'll definitely have him. Snedden Fiera says, has Dybala's girlfriend got the coronavirus? Yes, she does. Both him and his girlfriend have got the coronavirus at the moment. It's really sad to hear that. Sad to hear that the one of the previous owners of Real Madrid died from the coronavirus. So that's really sad. Habib Ullah says, Robbie, Greenwood or Martinelli? Martinelli for me. I think Martinelli's had a better season than Greenwood. Look what he did in like in the Europa League and stuff like that. And in he's even when he's had to step up into the Premier League. Greenwood's done really well as well. As again another great prospect for United. But for me, Martinelli is a step up in my opinion at this moment in time. Ashraf says, would you still treat Aubameyang in the same way if he signs for United? Unlike Sanchez, no, I wouldn't. I'd be very angry if he signed for Man United. I mean, I would hate to see that, him signing for Manchester United. I was thinking about it the other day, Sanchez and all that piano thing and that. You know what I mean? I think he was asked a question the other day, do you regret signing for Man United? And he said no. Come on, of course he must regret it. Maybe he don't regret the money he's getting, but that's been a disaster. Felix Perez says, with a super chat, he says, which striker would you sign should Aubameyang leave? He says, come on, you Gunners from Puerto Rico. Wow. If he left, it'd be a very, very difficult guy to replace. And striker-wise, I think you could possibly look at Dembele from Dembele at Lyon. Could possibly somebody like that as someone who could come in and replace him. But it'd be very difficult to replace those goals. But listen, nobody's not replaceable. I mean, you know, everybody has to get replaced eventually anyway. So let's get a few more in before we end the stream. Aubameyang swap for Griezmann. There's been rumours coming out today that Barcelona will be willing to let Griezmann go. He's a top player. That sounds like an unusual one. He's only been there a year. Jonathan Gilchrist says, Robbie, what do you think? What do you think? Does Tierney have a future at Arsenal? Of course he does. I mean, he's been injured. He's been out for ages. He hasn't got going yet. And I really, really want to see him get going. Jonathan also says, Robbie, Kai Havertz to Arsenal, would love to see that. I think he could be the perfect player to replace Mesut Ozil once Ozil moves on. Osoroba says, do you think fans can write a letter to Stan Kroenke to appeal for him to spend on buying good players in the summer? I think that has to wait until this coronavirus thing is done. Let's see how we get through that first before we ask that. Harry Robinson says, Robbie, how is your dad doing? Is he well? He's still not well, but he's out of hospital, which is a positive thing. He's not where he was health-wise, but he's out of hospital. So that's a positive, because a couple of weeks ago it wasn't even looking like it was going to be that we'd even be talking about him right now. So all praise to God for that. And that's what I'm saying with this coronavirus thing. We will get through this. We will definitely get through this. Kieran James Reed says Celtic and Rangers in the English leagues. I'd love to see that. I've always said I'd love to see Celtic and Rangers in the Premier League. I think those two teams would be huge with their fan bases and they'd add a lot of spice to the Premier League. But I don't think any of the Premier League teams would want that to happen, because it's like Turkey's, voting for Christmas, isn't it? Some of the teams, sort of the lesser teams in the Premier League, they're not going to want two giants like that coming in there. That's the last one they want to see. Richard with a super chat says, "Hey Robbie, I'm a West Ham fan, but big up the fan channel. Big fan of your channel and of you and Troops. If Aubameyang leaves, would you take someone like Diego Costa, Odsonne Edouard, who we've been linked to today from Celtic, or maybe even Raul Jimenez?" I would definitely take Jimenez. I really rate him. I think he's been outstanding at Wolves, and he's been good. But the only thing is, I look at Jimenez's age, more or less the same as Aubameyang. I think he's 29 as well. So Maurice said, "My friend laughed when I said Bruno Fernandez could be on the De Bruyne level. Did I get the last laugh? It's too early for that yet. Fernandez has just started. He started off really well. But it's at the moment, it's still De Bruyne. I think your mate's still the one laughing at the moment." Savio says, "Do you think Pepe is worth 72 mil based on what you've seen so far?" And what I've seen so far, no. But it's still too early. Let's judge him, and when he's settled in, and next season, that's when I'll be able to tell you whether he's worth it or not. Robbie, Mbappe or Neymar to Arsenal? Well, I'll take Mbappe all day long over Neymar. Dylan House says Lewis Dunk. Lewis Dunk, good player. Sonny Ahmed says, "Hey Robbie, if the season resumes in August and those spuds are allowed to play Kane and Son against us, then why can't we play Saliba too?" Well, it would all depend on what the rules would be around the loan deal. So we'd have to wait and see what happens with that. Listen, thank you very much for all the questions in the Q&A. Thank you very much for tuning in these really desperate times at the moment. If you're out there, be safe. If you're here in the UK, follow all of what the government's telling us to do. Let's try and get through this as quickly as we possibly can. Anywhere you are across the world, just adhere to whatever your governments are saying, man. This is something, this coronavirus, that we can only kick collectively. We can only do this together. We can't do it separately, right? It's no time for blaming this person or that person. Or the one thing about this is we can only get through it together. So let's get through it together. As I keep saying, we can defeat this. We can beat this. We're going to defeat this. So let's just keep the faith right now. And we're going to beat this, definitely.